Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Jeff from Oskheim Sports and Tony Mejia at Mejia Dinero on Twitter. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm laughing because before we started the show, we all three were in agreement and said, we hate this game. We had another game on deck. Unfortunately, it got canceled. Seems to be the norm of this football season. But either way, Penn State, 3-point favorite, headed into Lincoln, total 56.5. Tony, I'm going to start with you here first. I know there's not a lot to love here. Penn State has really fallen from grace over the last couple of weeks, and Nebraska just fell short last week. They had the win in their hands and couldn't close it out. No idea what Scott Frost's future looks like in Lincoln, but your thoughts on this one?
Kelly, I'd like this game more if it was one of those old WWF grudge matches where the loser has to leave the conference, leave the whole thing. But actually, both of these coaches signed extensions, before the pandemic hit. So James Franklin has a huge buyout, and he's there till 2025. Scott Frost, his future's secured till 2026. And if you buy him out, you have to pay him $5 million a year. So that's a sweet deal for the former UCF coach. And these two, something near and dear to your heart. I didn't know this until I was researching this game, but they share K-State ties. Frost was a GA in 2007 when he was starting out as a coach, and James Franklin was still the OC. They're your alma mater, they're Kansas State. So they know each other, and there are extenuating circumstances that have both in must-win mode, but really, the seat's not that hot. And I think these teams, the differentiating factor for me in liking Nebraska slightly more than Penn State is that they get to open at home. And they were excited to get that season going. They were one of those teams that really were pushing the Big Ten to get started despite COVID-19. And, we'll see what happens with attendance, but you figure there'll be some people in the stands. Nebraska can really take advantage of the fact Penn State hasn't found their footing. They lost both of their rushers. Journey Brown went down preseason. Noah Cain went down in the first game. So they've struggled to run the ball. Their leading rusher is quarterback Sean Clifford, who hasn't been able to do anything with the passing game. The defense lost Micah Parsons because he opted out. And last year's leading rusher, Yetur Gross-Matos, is in the NFL now. So it's not the same Nittany Lions defense. This is a spot where potentially Nebraska can get a win and get moving. It's funny that Franklin is on the hot seat. He was 42-11 entering the season, and Scott Frost 9-17, no winning seasons yet at his alma mater. So maybe he'll get off the snide. I'll take the points. Give me the Huskers.
All right, Jeff, it looks like we have a little bit of a disagreement here. I don't really dislike the Huskers in this spot. Penn State just looks so lackluster. I feel like it seems like they've already just cashed it in, even though they've yet to play even 4 games this year. Your thoughts on the Nittany Lions?
Yeah, Kelly, I think Tony made some compelling arguments to back Nebraska. But again, I don't really like this game, but I'm going to play devil's advocate and tell you why you could back Penn State in this spot. Now, granted, they're 0-3 straight up for the first time since 2001. But as Tony alluded to earlier, their season was really derailed by injuries before kickoff. They had Micah Parsons, their top defensive player, who opted out because of COVID. They lost their both running backs, Brown and Cain, as Tony mentioned earlier. So that definitely hurt them a lot. And Sean Clifford has been a huge disappointment. You look at what he did last week against Maryland. He threw 2 interceptions. He fumbled once and completed only 47% of his dropbacks on 57 attempts. It's really a problem here at Penn State. But with that said, you look at their 10-6 against the number as road favorites, and they're desperate for a win. And the reason why we can't trust Nebraska, I'm not saying we can trust Penn State, but I think they have a better coach. James Franklin definitely has a better track record here. I would back him over Scott Frost. When is the alumni in Nebraska going to say enough is enough with Scott Frost? I mean, it just reminds me of a few other coaches in college football where you have to pull the plug at some point, like in Michigan, for example. It gets to be too much. But Nebraska has no quarterback. I mean, Adrian Martinez is struggling once again. I feel like every year there's hype, and he always struggles. Now, the backup, Luke McCaffrey, came in last week in the third quarter. He's actually Christian McCaffrey's younger brother. He looked okay, 12 of 16, 93 yards, nothing special, nothing to write home about. But Nebraska, 5-15 against the number, their last 20 at home, Kelly. They're 9-17 straight up under Scott Frost, 10-23 straight up, dating back to 2017. I can't trust the Cornhuskers. If anything, I'll take James Franklin, lay the small number. I don't expect many people in the stands, if any at all. I believe the Big Ten said there will be no attendance in these games unless maybe the state of Nebraska has an exception to that rule. I'm not sure, but I would lean towards Penn State minus the short number.
Well, thank you guys, Tony and Jeff, for your compelling arguments on why I'm not going to touch this game whatsoever. Head over to WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com. You can get your favorite handicappers, all of their plays through the end of November right now for $1.99. And also, don't forget, type in any team, any game on the board on our WagerTalk YouTube channel, and I guarantee we've got a video up for it. We'll see you guys soon.